It is time to address the remaining elephant in the room. And as you might have guessed, I will use this opportunity and the privilege of the microphone today to do just that. Our remaining unaddressed structural challenge is the property tax freeze. A related challenge will be the potential fear and skepticism that will keep us from addressing it. Recently, our reinvigorated Chamber of Commerce has launched a regional prosperity initiative to assess our community's competitiveness for jobs and workforce talent, and to tackle issues related to poverty, which affect school performance, crime, and economic development. What that assessment has found is at the same time sobering and yet hopeful. First, the sobering news. Know that our Columbus region has had net zero job growth over the last 30 years or so. And now that's despite BRAC, AFLAC, TSYS, the Bradley Company, Carmike, Synovus, NCR, Pratt Whitney, and other economic engines. We have been outpaced by almost every city of comparable size in a 6-state region, to include Augusta, Rome, Savannah, Huntsville, and Fayetteville, North Carolina. We finished 58th out of 61 metro areas in 6 states, falling behind all but Albany, Anniston, and Gadsden. We have had de minimis positive immigration or population growth over the last 3 decades, which is contrary to the explosive growth that has been experienced throughout this 6-state southeastern comparative. Now, this is shocking on the one hand, because we can all recite chapter and verse on the individual acts of greatness we have achieved together in Columbus. Whitewater, Columbus State University, the Riverwalk, the revitalization of Uptown, Midtown, BRAC, hundreds of millions of dollars of investment in South Columbus, just to name a few. On the other hand, this long-term economic stagnation should not be a surprise to us at all. We were forewarned. First, decades ago, we allowed fear and isolationism to keep us from what others of the day knew. Joining the U.S. interstate and highway system would be a long-term infrastructure boon for our economy. We, however, chose the status quo, and the economic opportunities passed us by for decades, and they continue to do so. The growth we have had in Columbus has been in spite of this mistake, and we need to recognize our failure to join the U.S. interstate system as a mistake rooted in fear and unhealthy skepticism. The type of mistake we shall vow never to make again. When you add to the revelation of our net zero job growth and our negligible population growth the fact that we have been significantly outpaced by like communities in a 6-state region that also have no U.S. interstate access, we have to stop and admit a hard reality to ourselves. The property tax freeze has hurt us, just as the 20% that voted against it the first time out had predicted, just as studies of similar tax freezes show that they do. Our stagnation has been precisely those negative impacts predicted and proven in other jurisdictions. We have incentivized immobility, meaning people stay in one home longer than they normally would, though their life circumstance may dictate another housing choice. We have strangled our local government by not allowing revenues to keep pace with the cost and demand for services. We have discouraged newcomers and upward mobility, as those who would buy homes in Muskogee County understand that the freeze means they will carry a disproportionate burden of property tax cost for at least 14 years. This causes new talent and regional immigration to live beyond our county borders and causes those of means who wish to buy a new home to do so as well, leaving behind lower-income families that have no capacity to move. On average, those leaving Muskogee County for surrounding areas earn $2,500 more per household than those who stay. I'm sorry, but no legitimate claim can be made that our property tax freeze is anything but detrimental to this community. Now, are there families that it benefits? Well, you bet there are. Just under 25% of the families are benefited because they have owned their home for 14 years or more, and they are on the positive side of the freeze. The other 75% subsidize the 25% with starkly higher and disproportionate property taxes. As fewer families stay in one home for longer than 14 years, Muskogee County will become increasingly uncompetitive for population influx and workforce talent. We now know this. Our old way of doing things must be discarded, and we must find new ways to thrive. We can no longer cater to the loud, emphatic voices calling for bad, injurious policy, no matter how adamant they are, and no matter how respected they otherwise may be. We are at a crossroads. Each one of you will need to help us in this choice of new policy for a new era. A new policy that will allow us to reap the benefit of our investment and our potential. When we were kids, positive peer pressure stopped us from eating the sand in the sandbox. Now, as adults and community leaders, positive peer pressure must be asserted to stop the myths and the fear that has allowed this flawed system to stay in place all these years and caused this damage to our community and our future. It is time to educate ourselves by going to thawthefreeze.com or by going to one of the many community forums on the subject in order to be prepared to look your in-laws, your golfing buddies, your co-workers, your Sunday school classmates, your neighbors in the eye and say, no, sir. We can no longer have this tax system. We can no longer hurt ourselves and stymie our growth. The Thaw the Freeze proposal inflicts no harm. If you have the freeze, you stay in the freeze system. It will be retired and no one else can enter it. All new property transfers will vest in a fair market valuation system, just like the majority of systems in this state and around the country, but with an increased tax break in the form of a $20,000 homestead exemption. We cannot allow those who, for pride of authorship of the original freeze proposal, or for sake of extreme ideology, or for political sport, will attempt to thwart this opportunity for us to get it right and stop the decades-long injury the current system has inflicted on us. In 2015, we received the miracle of broad, though not unanimous, support from the city government, the school board, and the Chamber of Commerce to place the Thaw the Freeze proposal on the November 8th, 2016 general election ballot. That constitutes a miracle because I was assured that would not happen, and a handful of folks pledged to me that I could count that attempt dead in the water. That fear-laced prognostication fell victim to those who want a chance to test the voters' appetite for a better system. Now the issue rests in the hands of our esteemed state delegation, nearly all of whom support putting the issue on the ballot so that citizens can decide for themselves the tax system that will govern their future. You are hereby deputized to go forth armed with facts and figures and a conviction that we will not repeat the mistakes of the past. I ask that you contact each member of the state delegation and let them know you desire that this issue be on the ballot for the citizens to decide. When they do vote to place it on the ballot, I ask that you join us in any and every way you can in advocating for the passage of the ballot initiative to sunset our property tax freeze. Do not tell me we cannot do this because it's too hard or too controversial. Just look at what we have accomplished thus far. Just look at the mountains that people of goodwill and commitment have proven we are capable of moving. And I will tell you this, after 5 years of forums and meetings and debates and other community discussions on this topic, the people are ready for this change. The Thaw the Freeze proposal is poised to pass. Join us to make certain that it does. Yes, in Columbus, Georgia, we are in the miracle business. It's what makes us great and sustains our hope for the next big challenge. Just like the alumni of Sweetbriar College that accomplished the unimaginable to change a predestined course, our Columbus leadership and citizens have raised $100 million in the Columbus Challenge, blew a dammed-up river back to its natural course, revived a lifeless downtown, elevated a community college to a prestigious affiliate of our state university system, resolved veterans' homelessness by reaching our functional zero, started the process of reversing blight and poverty, got our fiscal house in order while largely maintaining demanded city services, and placed our city on a new quality of life plateau. We have borne witness to civic miracles. Because of our faith that the seemingly impossible is possible, we will find a way forward. We will not tolerate mischief and myth-based naysaying to derail our opportunities to change to a more productive course. We each will pick up the mantle and take responsibility for putting our community's future on solid, more fertile ground. Yes, the state of our city is strong, but with your help, it will be stronger yet. Thank you so very much.